Hi everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to go over some of the more important aspects of your final project and give you a few quick tips to help you do your best on our final project coming up at the end of Module 7. So the first thing that I want to address is the format of the paper. Your final project should be a Word document and it should be about 4 pages in length. And that's really a minimum requirement. Many of the topics that we cover in this course are so in-depth that you generally have enough resources to go beyond that 4 length minimum. And I'm seeing also in your milestones that many of you are already writing papers that are about 3 or 4 pages in length. So don't worry if your paper is coming out to be 5, 6, 7 pages in length. That's okay. I think it's always better to err on the side of maybe having a little bit too much information than not quite enough information. Your paper should also be in APA format, and there are some really good resources within our course shell if you're still wondering about some of the aspects of APA format. There are links to Purdue OWL and also to the Writing Center. And I'm also available to help you with any questions that you may have regarding the format of your final project. So feel free to shoot me an email or call me, and we can definitely talk about some of the finer points of citation. No problem there. In addition, your paper should be 12-point Times New Roman font and 1-inch margins. So what do I include in my final project that perhaps I've already been working on? Well, the good news is that you can include your concept map as is if you are satisfied with how it's looking, if you're satisfied with the content in your concept map. You may want to go back into the gradebook and take a look at some of the changes that I've suggested to some of you. Some of these changes are really minor changes but can make a big difference or a big improvement within your concept map. So review the gradebook for any suggestions that I may have for you. In addition, you can include any research from Milestone 3, and many of you have a really good foundation within that Milestone 3 for the research that you're going to need for this final project. And many of you are even going beyond the requirements there, which is really helpful and makes the writing of that final project just a little bit easier. You'll also need to include a full bibliography in APA format that is inclusive of at least 4 references. And again, I'm seeing that many of you are going beyond the 4 reference minimum there. You do need to include your textbook as one of your references. And if you're having any difficulty in using your textbook, making connections between your topic and also any of the theories in your textbook, feel free to contact me. Give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm really happy to have a conversation with you about how you can apply some of these sociological concepts to your topic. Okay, so what's new that you need to include in your final project? Well, the first question that you'll want to answer in your final project is really, how can we use the sociological lens or the sociological imagination that we discussed in our first module to create a deeper understanding of your issue? What's the benefit to doing that? What's the benefit to applying some of these concepts that we've learned? You might want to think about including some real-life examples or case studies. Maybe there's something that you know of that a neighbor or friend has experienced. Maybe you've read about something in the newspaper. Maybe there's something that you've experienced that you want to talk about that is in direct support of your data. I always like taking some of these macro level concepts and bringing it down to the micro level of analysis. That way you're kind of working off of 2 kinds of data. You're working on a really broad scale, and then you're also sort of personalizing the information. You might also want to be thinking of social or policy-oriented solutions to your social issue. I kind of feel like the research part is really just the first step. In other words, what should the outcome be? There might be a social policy that can be enacted. There might be a human services solution to the topic that you've chosen. There might be a government policy or even a law that could be enacted that might have a tremendous impact on the topic that you've chosen to discuss. So if you have some ideas about that, including those in your conclusion are really an asset, I think, to any research paper that you write. You can also use a critical approach to discuss any gaps in the literature that you've reviewed. And this just means going back and taking a look at the body of literature, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, there's some things that have been overlooked, or there's another way to approach this particular topic or this particular subject. And I'm interested in hearing any comments or suggestions or critiques that you may have regarding the literature that you've researched on your topic. Again, guys, I am here for you to discuss any questions that you may have about your final project. You can contact me by email, you can call me, and I'm always happy to review any final drafts or any drafts of your final before submission. So please know that I'm here to do that, and I'm happy to do that and offer any suggestions. Thanks a lot.